I had a rocky couple of years, a couple of losses and a couple of dodgy performances. Fortunately for me, a lot of people focus on that and take little notice of my form of late. I think that lately I'm unstoppable. My distance control is fantastic. My reach is spot on. My jab is a lot faster than his. These are all things that will cause Junior nightmares, and because of that, I believe it will be a comfortable fight. Once I find my range, once I kick in, there will be a lot of posturing from him, a lot of holding from him, but I am going to ice him. I believe he will be out cold. When you talk about genetics, sure, I know his dad boxed, but that was well before my time, and there's no reason to get the laptop out and watch Senior against some little-known Belgian or other fighter. Those are the words of St. George Groves, speaking ahead of his World Boxing Super Series semi-final showdown with Chris Eubank Jr. The fight is taking place on February 17th at the Manchester Arena. It's probably, well, it's definitely one of at least the most highly anticipated fights in British boxing this year. I cannot wait for this fight. I'm very, very excited for this one, as pretty much all you guys know. And one of the things that I love in the build-up to this fight is the verbal exchanges between George Groves and the Eubanks. I love the Eubanks pantomime villain type role that they play. I find it highly entertaining. And I also like George Groves's cheeky chappy type role that he normally plays. With him, I guess it's not really a role, George Groves, so much. I think that's just how he is. With the Eubanks, there seems to be more of an element of theatricality to it, where it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, particularly with Senior. A lot of it seems to be tongue-in-cheek with him. But either way, whether it's tongue-in-cheek or not, I like the verbal exchanges between Groves and the Eubanks, and there's more of it to come. Groves genuinely believes he's going to ice Junior. He says that his distance control and his jab and all this other kind of stuff is going to be key. And Junior is saying that Groves is someone who he knows all about. He sparred hundreds of rounds with him, so there's nothing that Groves can surprise him with or shock him with. Both guys very confident. Both guys potentially might be overconfident. We've seen both guys fall victim to being overconfident before. When Eubank Jr. fought Billy Joe Saunders, he was very dismissive of Saunders. And it turned out to be a much harder fight than Eubank Jr. anticipated it being. And similarly for George Groves, he's been overconfident in numerous fights. He was overconfident going into, I guess you could say, the Frotch rematch. He was certainly overconfident going into the Badou Jack fight. You know, he felt like that was going to be like taking candy from a baby, but it certainly wasn't. We'll see whether he suffers from overconfidence in the I mean, what if they both suffer from overconfidence in this fight? It could turn out to be very, very wild indeed. So it's probably better if both guys are extremely confident going into this one, because there's going to be more risks taken and more mistakes made, and that's going to be better for the fans. So we'll see. As far as me and what I envision going into this fight, there are so many unanswered questions for me. Eubank Jr. has never been in there with a puncher like George Groves, and this is the first time that Eubank Jr. would have fought somebody who is more of a long-range boxer and good at boxing at long range since the Billy Joe Saunders defeat. So it's going to be interesting to see how he copes with that, if his skills at dealing with a long-range guy have improved since the Billy Joe Saunders fight. And Billy Joe Saunders is certainly a lot more slick than George Groves. He's better defensively, etc. But still, Groves is bigger, stronger than Billy Joe, hits a lot harder. But, you know, the common thread is that Billy Joe and George Groves are primarily guys who like to operate at long range, and that's where they do their best work. Eubank Jr. has been in there against guys who are sluggers of late. Yildirim is a slugger. He's not a guy who operates at long range. Who else has he fought now? the Australian guy whose name escapes me, who he won his IBO belt from. I don't know where he was, kind of a boxer puncher, I guess. Quinlan, that's what the guy was called. He was kind of a boxer puncher, but certainly not particularly adept at long range. Before that, he fought. No, sorry, it was after that. He fought Arthur Abraham. Arthur Abraham's a slugger. He fought Nick Blackwell. Blackwell's a slugger. He fought Spike O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan's a slugger. He fought that Welsh guy, again, whose name escapes me, who's kind of a slugger. So he's been fighting sluggers who stand in front of him ever since the Billy... I mean, even Chudinov is a slugger. So he's been fighting sluggers who stand in front of him ever since the Billy Joe Saunders fight. This will be the first time that he's taken on a good long-range boxer since that time. So, yeah, we'll see. This is the day of reckoning for Eubank Jr. We'll see what he has. And in terms of George Groves, has he fought somebody like Eubank Jr. before? Somebody who is that good on the inside and that ferocious up close, who has that kind of engine? Let's look at the guys Groves has been fighting. Jamie Cox applied pressure, but Cox's pressure is nothing like Eubank Jr.'s pressure. Believe you me, Cox is not as fast or explosive as Eubank Jr., is not as big as Eubank Jr. Even though Eubank Jr. is going to be smaller than Groves, he's certainly bigger than Cox. Then you look at Chudinov. Chudinov's a good fighter, does apply pressure, and these guys had success against George Groves, by the way. Even though Groves won those fights decisively, they were having success. They were catching George Groves. They were managing to pin him on the ropes. But even though Groves was having problems, at least he's fought guys, you know, now that I think of it, who did certain things that are going to be similar in a generic way to Eubank Jr. He did fight guys who put pressure on him, who pinned him on the ropes, etc. So that for me is a plus point for George Groves. Whereas Eubank Jr. has really fought no one who can box at long range since he took on Billy Joe Saunders several years ago. So maybe George Groves will be the better prepared in terms of the fights they've had leading up to this clash, you know. But we'll see. There are so many unanswered questions. As I've said in previous videos, Chris Eubank Jr. surely will get himself into positions to be able to unload those ferocious combinations. And he's a lot more formidable on the inside than a Jamie Cox or a Chudinov. And we'll see whether Groves can come through that. He managed to come through Chudinov and Cox, but, you know, he's still getting caught. Will he be able to come through a Eubank Jr. attack when he puts it on him? Fascinating, fascinating fight. I'm definitely going to be enjoying the build-up, and hopefully the fight lives up to all the hype. So let me know what you feel in the comment section below about everything I've talked about in this video. It's happening. I'm out.